welcome to our Circle and Salve Women. Today I am going to be talking about a victim versus a victor. Now, understand, as I've written in my article, that really there is a difference between someone who has fallen themselves into becoming a victim, whether it was unwanted, unanticipated, something that was completely unwarranted, and yet, they had to learn to overcome it. Now, here, though, is my discussion today of a victim versus a victor, of one who chooses to stay as a victim. And we're going to go through some comparisons throughout this talk. The very first one is the mindset of I can't versus I can. Again, it is no doubt, it can be a very painful experience to find yourself to have fallen as a victim. And yet, when we label ourselves as a victim and really circle our mindset of being that victim, all of a sudden it starts to decide for us how we're going to view life. And eventually it becomes that mentality of I can't versus I can. Now, that victim, that person who is chosen to be a victim will continue to really say, I can't because this happened to me. I can't because this is still hurting me. I can't because I'm still in pain. I'm still lost in that moment. I'm still there. I can't let it go. And so therefore it's not easy for me, or it's not something that I'm able to do to move forward from it. And so that mindset has really taken over them, and therefore it continues to really decide what their tomorrow will be because of that decision to say I can't rather than I can. The victor says, watch me. Yes, I've been hurting. Yes, I'm still hurting, but I'm not going to dwell in it. I'm not going to allow it to define me. I'm going to make sure that, in fact, if anything, I am going to show that I can move away from it, that I can move forward and be able to overcome whatever it was that I did not anticipate on on falling victim to. I'm not going to stay there, however. I can and I will, and so watch me move forward. That is the victor. The next one is very similar to it, where it's I won't versus I will. Again, those who have chosen to stay as a victim will say, I won't do it, okay? Because they've all of a sudden instilled some fear in them, thinking that this is something that is going to define them for the rest of their lives, or however long it lingers into their system. It's that systematic mentality of, I won't do it because this happened to me. And, perhaps for some time people will understand, and then eventually people will start to question, well, when will you then move on to the I will, because this has really taken over your life and has really defined your character in whatever it was that happened, and yes, it was real, and yes, it hurt, and it was tragic, and no one should have to go through that, or whatever it may be. And yet it is that reasoning, it becomes that crutch to say, I won't do this because that happened to me. Whereas the victor says, no, I will do it because that has happened to me. And I will show you that then because of me overcoming all that I went through. Okay, don't pity me. Don't look at me as if life is going to be the end for me. I will do this because it's important for me to then again move forward away from it. And the more I will, then therefore the further I am away from what has really tried to make me say I won't. The next one is it's over versus it's just begun. It's over is that surrender to say, you know what, I am completely done. I was not anticipating what I was going through, and it happened, and here I am, and I'm still suffering, and I'm still in pain, I'm still hurting from it all, and so therefore everything is over for me. I can't believe that has happened. I'm totally spent. I'm exhausted from it. It's destroyed me. But it becomes that mental acceptance, when really in reality it's really just that mentality of, whoa, how can I switch this up? How can I say, okay, yes, I I became a victim of that circumstance. But now I know better. Now I am stronger. I'm better from it. And now my life has just begun. It's turned into a new chapter, and I am now stronger from it all. And then therefore, again, I'm moving forward to making sure that I don't stay in that situation, in that mindset, in that belief that everything is the end for me. I have to believe that I will continue, that life, there's so many more things in life for me that has to keep me moving forward. In the words of Maya Angelou, still I rise, and it's still I'll rise. And it's so important to understand that, because it's just, the looks of people and people making judgment and thinking, oh my gosh, that's so tragic. And there's some people that will dwell with you in that moment to just, I don't know what it could be. It could be that in their mindset, as long as you're down with me, at least I won't feel alone. And so I'm going to keep making you feel like you cannot rise from this. And, you may think at first that, gosh, they're there for me. They're really, really caring about me, and that they're wanting me to get better. But it's almost as if they keep reminding you of the situation when you're trying to move forward. And so really, again, still I'll rise is that mentality of a victor. Dr. Maya Angelou says it so well, because it is really that moment where you go, hold on, my life has just begun after that chapter. Okay, that was an ugly chapter. No one should have gone through that chapter, but I have learned from it, and now I am brushing myself off. Maybe the wounds are still healing, but I am moving forward because I choose to rise. And so, no, it's not over. I'm choosing to believe that it is just begun. The very last part is living in the past versus the present. When we tend to live in the past, it's as if we don't want to talk about what could be. We live in this fear of, well, remember when that happened and that happened to you, and then all of a sudden this happened to you, and do you really want that to happen again? I mean, yeah, you're taking this risk and it hurt you a lot last time. Are you sure that you want to go ahead and move forward with that mindset of taking that risk to go right back to where you were, where that almost destroyed you? Again, there are people who have perhaps allowed themselves to be destroyed. They've chosen to really live that victim mentality. And when you're surrounded by that, it's so important, again, to identify that circle. And to not their fault, but it's the mindset that they have fed themselves, that they feel that, this is the path that has taken you, and you have lost so much, or you have hurt so much. And now are you really willing to think to yourself to move into the present when your past is that bad, or is that painful, or it's that tragic? And there are those that will keep reminding of your past, or you are surrounded by those who keep reminding of your past, because again, it's that dwelling piece. It's that feeder of let's keep thinking about all the many things that has gone wrong, and then all of a sudden there's that fear to move to not move into the present of time, or to move forward. And because all of a sudden that victim mentality is saying, look in the past, look what has happened to you every time that you did this or that you tried, instead of going, but this can be different because it's a different day, it's a new chapter. And if I continue to fall forward, even though I'm falling, and I've mentioned this in another talk where Denzel Washington had made that very famous speech, I believe at Dillard University, where he had said, fall forward, right? And Thomas Edison, having done many mistakes to create the light bulb, 1,000 times, and then by 1,001 is like when he did it. Now imagine if you fell 1,000 times and someone said, you've already fallen 1,000 times. Now you're going to take another risk to fall again, and this time it could kill you. Well, guess what? Denzel Washington would say, fall forward, because you really want to drive yourself into that what if. what if, and that energy and that strength that for your mind, your heart, your body, and spirit, and saying, I have to move forward. I have to make sure that my present will not be my past. And the only way I can make certain of that is to work toward what I want my present to be, because as a form, someone who I strongly is dear to me, and Mr. Wood would say, you know what, it is really, the present is really a gift. And so you take that gift, you don't deny it, and you say to yourself, this is something that I have to take in as a blessing, that I get to move forward. And so I will live in the present instead of the past. That is the mind of a victor. So I will end this by saying that there are maybe some of you who go, you know what, I am a victor, and yet your surroundings may be reminding you to feel defeated, that you are still hurting, and that therefore you think you have lost. And you really have to then make a decision to go, hold on. If I am thinking that way, if I am surrounded by that mentality, if I'm surrounded by those types of emotions in the heart, the mind, the body, and the spirit type of characters, am I really a victor, or is my yesterday the same as today? Because a victor will always say, what more? What more can I do? What more is there of me that I can push myself forward to become? So please make sure that you fight away from being defeated, from hurting, even though it's real, pain is real. Just keep saying, you know what, I'm at least going to be hurting in the direction of tomorrow and not the direction of yesterday, so that you can say to yourself at the end, I have won. And even if I'm feeling like I'm losing today, I know I have that choice as a victor to say, but tomorrow, watch me win. So in the words of my mother, God bless us all. May you continue to move forward in life, and keep saying to yourself, still I'll rise, no matter how many times you've fallen, because as long as you're falling forward inch by inch, you'll get there. You'll get to your destiny. And you know what? The least you can do for yourself is believe that you can, because there may be so many obstacles around you that is making you feel that you aren't able. Don't listen to that. Fight away from it, and make sure that you are really driving yourself into the belief, because it's true that there is that tomorrow to try again. Keep trying, keep believing in you. You've got this, one moment at a time, one day at a time. We'll see you when we see you. Thank you. Have a great day.